Wouldn't you know, it was the morning of all mornings. The alarm didn't go off. The power went off and the alarm didn't go off. When you woke up, it's 8:05. You then realize that you run in, you put on your clothes quickly, and you look down, there's a big stain. So you know you have to change clothes. You jump in the car, and where do you think that gas gauge is? Reserve. You're kicking yourself. You knew you should have filled up yesterday on the way home, but you didn't, and now you're late, and the thing's on reserve. You've got to stop. You're coming here, and you catching every single red light there is. And then all of a sudden, you're coming to another one, you know you can't run it, you hit the yellow one more time, and this is the longest light in the Tri-County. You've got a decision to make. Here's your three choices. I want you to decide, what would you do? You're either, you know you're going to wait the light out. That's what you do. So as impatient, you're running late, you're getting on the cell phone, trying to call Marilyn, say you're late, she's not answering, but you're sitting it out until the light turns green. The second choice is, you're looking. You're looking left, you're looking right, you're checking, you're looking for cameras mounted up on the telephone poles, anything that could catch you. There is nobody in that intersection. Nobody in front, beside, behind, and that light's red. What are you going to do? You're at least contemplating going through. And the other one is, you're through it. You barely slowed down. You stopped at the red light, you checked right, left, front, back, nearest cameras. It's safe environment. Safety is not a concern. You're through. So I want you to decide which one of those are you. Are you know you're going to wait the light out? You're not sure. You'd be thinking about it. May, but you're thinking about it. Or you're running that baby. So what I want you to do is go ahead and stand up. Everybody just stand up. If you know you're going to wait the light out, I want you to wander over to the wall between the two columns under those pictures. If you know you're going to be thinking about it, line up in the back of the table.
How you doing?
If you know you're going to run it, get over here under these pictures. By the windows. Wow! Now, let me first say this is highly unusual, although I did think it might be the case because, quite frankly, the nursing profession. And we know that different professions carry different traits. However, we have an unusually large crowd that says, I'm sitting at the light and waiting this out. Now what that really says is not that you're compliant people and you're rule followers. It says you don't see Marilyn as a big threat if you show up late. But what we have here, no matter that this is really heavily balanced over here, we've got quite a bit of diversity in the room. So the first thing I want to check is just about 3 of you. Why did you make the decision? You knew you made the decision. You walked right to this wall to wait it out. What was in your head that did that? Yes, and your name first, and then where you work and what you do.
Oh, I'm Carrie. I'm a nurse manager for 6 West.
Thanks, Carrie.
I've been hit before.
Okay.
My vehicle's been hit. And I have children, so I'm going to sit there and wait so I don't get hit again.
Carrie has been hit before. So what we're saying here, and I want you to really process this, she has had past experience, historical experience that has led a change in her behaviors. That is her reason. Thank you, Carrie. How about somebody else? Yes, and your name and where you work.
Dave, I'm sure you remember me.
I do.
I have never, I don't run red lights. It's a rule. It's, you know, I don't go in and exit. I don't know what about me is wired that way. But I just don't do it. If the sign says exit, I don't drive in it.
So rule follower. That's very different than I had an experience that has led me to be much more cautious. Rule follower. So
plus, I'm always late everywhere I go.
There you go. So,
right, Marilyn?
And if the neighborhood sign says 25 miles an hour, she's 25 miles an hour, right? Okay. Absolute rule follower. Okay.
I would have taken a right on red, done a U-turn, got to the green light, gone right.
Let me tell you, you're not alone. There's a whole segment of this group that is already planned out. I'm going to manipulate the law and the rules and like right, and get back where I need to be going. So you're not alone in that category. How about over here? And only because I've asked all of you to share, I'm going to share with you where I am. I am so with you guys. This is clearly where I am. So what was in your rationale that was very different from everybody else in the room? Who else wants to share? Speak up, please, Dawn.
I'm sorry. I'm Dawn. I'm the intern nurse manager for
She did it this morning. And I felt like I had to get here. So what were you weighing out as you made that decision? It wasn't a light decision, probably. What did you weigh out?
I come through the entire way through Mount Pleasant, and there's like 18 lights.
Yeah, 18 lights to get here. It was just the impatience, new need to get on. Safety was already judged not to be a concern. Went on. How about anybody else?
I'm Jamie. I work in the adult ED. I'm very impatient. If I can find a shorter way to get someplace, so I find a quicker route, I'm going to do it. And my insurance already hates me. So.
Yeah. So, and I'll share, because I really do think this way. This is not made up. My rationale for being over here at the same time. What do you call that big metal box with the 3 lights hanging down in the middle? What was that thing called?
Stoplight.
Stoplight, or often a traffic light, right? It was put there because that intersection was deemed to have traffic. If it never had traffic, I guarantee you that light would not be there. They only put it there to guide traffic. There is no traffic. So I really rationalize it. It's there for a purpose. The purpose does not exist at this moment. And I'm always weighing it's not as much impatience as it is, boy, there's going to be 120 people waiting on me, counting on me. I'll take the risk. I've made the assessment. I'll take the risk. If it bites me, you got to go with it, but I'm going to take the risk. Now, here's the kicker. Let's just say, Dawn, could I use you for a second? Come on in the middle for me. Because she's definitely a red light runner. And then, come on out. I want her out with Dawn. Now, what happens is these two are actually, they're neighbors. They live close right down the street.
I'm in Middle Pleasant.
Yeah. And so Dawn called up Harriet and she said, Harriet, I'm going in tomorrow. No reason to take all these cars. How about I stop and pick you up? And Harriet said, oh, great idea. Thank you. She was really pleased. And that way, one of her family members need the car anyway. Now you can have it. I got a ride. They're happy. Until they got to that light. And Dawn pulls up to that light, and all of a sudden she goes, Harriet, you see anybody? And Harriet's like, no, what do you mean? And she goes, well, I'm going to go. No! And she is white-knuckled on the handrest going, no! And she's through. What do you think Harriet does when she arrives here, right on time, thanks to Dawn? What do you think Harriet starts doing?
Finding a new ride.
Oh, yeah. Harriet's back over here going, do you know Dawn? She's going to immediately go over and say, don't ever ride with her. She's like crazy. She's crazy. Now, all of a sudden, one of Dawn's workmates, they're in a decision about something. And that workmate's thinking, I don't know, Dawn. You're kind of like a high-risk crazy person is what I understand. Here's the point. We all have different historical backgrounds, experiences, judgment, creative approaches, decision-making, risk-taking. We're all different. But in the workplace, these things come together. And when somebody makes a decision that was different than ours, we start to question them. But not just on that decision, because Harry's like, never riding with Dawn again. But you're going to start to question the other decisions that they make. And what I want us to do is we all know that there are different perspectives and there are different levels of risk. But the fact is, we want to encourage that diversity today. We want to be open to their thought process today and respect that because it was different doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just a different choice that we have. So here's how we're going to end the exercise. Thank you very much for playing it. Just don't ever ride with her, Harriet. Now, what I'd like you to do is we're going to take literally 2 minutes, and then I'm going to call time. What I'd like you to do in that 2 minutes is seek out someone that is of a different group than you. All right? So if you lost them in the craziness of getting together, just ask them and say, were you a light sitter or light runner, or were you contemplating? Because I want to meet you. Find somebody who you really don't know or know very little, and I want you to spend a good minute with them. And then I want you to find somebody else to meet that you don't know and spend a good minute with them. And there's a reason for 1 minute with them, all right? So I'm going to call time. If you're in the middle of a great conversation, it's like speed dating. You're going to have to break it and go find your next person, okay? So find somebody in a different group, meet them for a full minute, and then I'll call you to the next one. That was one legitimate profiling question of an overall profiling tool that says, where are you in risk-taking? Where are you in change adaptation? Where are you in creativity? There's a whole thing, and that's just one question. It's kind of fun to break people up and see where they may end. The second part of it has a lot to do with MUSC excellence. I gave you approximately 60 seconds to meet somebody who you didn't know or knew very little. Do you know in 60 seconds, all of us as humans, we have incredible gut instincts? In 60 seconds, you made up your mind about the person you just met. You did. And what I'd like you to do, you hopefully met 2 people. At the top of your agenda sheet, I'd like you to write down on the scale of 1 to 10. 10 is, I love meeting them. They were so interesting, and I hate when David called time because I wanted to continue getting to know them. A 1 is, that was the longest minute of my life. I couldn't wait for that minute to be called up because I needed to get out of that conversation. Where was your experience on the left-hand corner, you put person number 1, and right-hand corner, person number 2. If they happen to be right at your table, don't write it down and keep it in your head. But genuinely, I know that I watch the faces and the body language. I would like somebody who says, man, I give them a 9 or a 10 easy. Raise your hand. Great, thank you. I just saw yours go up first. Would you mind standing? And your name and where you work? Great. Who remembers meeting Donna the first time? Okay, back in here. And who else? Over here. Great. Would you 2 stand up, please? What made your experience good? What was it in your 9 and 10 thought?
I couldn't see myself in any one of the 3 groups.
Okay.
Depending on, but I was a trauma nurse, so.
You went over here.
But so were some of the people that were in the other groups.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting to find out what their perspective was. It's always interesting to find out a different perspective and why they make that decision.
So your conversation was interesting.
Yes.
It spoke to you, my guess is, things that you talked about were things you also felt.
Yes.
Because that's where the deepest relationships hit in a 60-second period, is when what was discussed, you felt. It wasn't just you thought it, you felt it. You had a commonality. It builds a relationship. All of us use this judgment. And literally, when someone meets you for the very first time, and that meeting may even be nonverbal, they will make that judgment in a snap. I like them. I'd like to spend time with them. I would go back to them again. Or, yeah, they answered my question. They did the job. It was just what I expected. Or, boy, I wish I'd found somebody else. And you will literally carry that kind of thought for up to 6 months unless that person does something dramatic to change it. Particularly when there was a feeling that you had and a commonality of discussion, boom, it is centered. One of the key reasons why all of us today, as you have a chance at breaks, at your table, we are all sending messages every single second of the day. What are the messages you're sending? How are you creating the 9 and 10? Because what we do know is a validated study. When somebody ranks on a 9 or 10, you are literally a promoter of these people. If you had to select somebody to be on your team, you would be likely, if you didn't know people, to say, oh gosh, can I get you guys? Because you just had a 60-second meeting that built a relationship that says, I want you on my team. 60 seconds. How do we affect it? So thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you guys.